And is it any surprise we've got headlines like this when we've got this report by Nick Timothy's, he's a former special advisor, finding that the Home Office is dysfunctional and beset by a culture of defeatism on immigration?
Good morning. No surprise whatsoever. And I don't think anybody will find it a surprise because for far too long the Home Office hasn't been able to do the things that it says it's going to do, or certainly with ministers that come forward to say that they want to get a grip with, whether it's deportations, whether it's tightening our border security, whether it was the Rwanda scheme, whether it was maybe Stockholm, whether it was anything to try and deter people coming into the UK illegally. At every turn, it seems the Home Office officials haven't moved quickly enough. And this is just on illegal immigration.
Yeah, but what I don't get with this is that, I mean, obviously the vast majority of the time under Labour, it's been Yvette Cooper, who shadowed that position for, 5 years or something? So she should have come into the Home Office running as her feet hit the ground. And she's clearly... I mean, the failure there is catastrophic, actually.
You're absolutely right. I mean, this woman cannot be allowed to get off the hook, by the way, because you're absolutely right. She was the Shadow Home Secretary for about 4 or 5 years. She was also the chair of the Home Affairs Select Committee. She also served as a cabinet minister under the last Labour government, so she should know a thing or two.
She knows how thing works.
Exactly. And the idea that, you know, for 5 years, the Labour government blocked at every turn the migration and deportation bill under the last government, that spent so long criticising the Tories for the Rwanda plan being too costly, it wouldn't be effective enough, it wouldn't work, it wouldn't get off the ground, and how terrible it all was and how inhumane it all was. We've now got a situation where this Labour government are not smashing the gangs, they're smashing records, which everybody has heard that line before, I'm sure. And now, having been told that when you get deported under this one-in, one-out scheme with France, you wouldn't be allowed back into the UK, ho-ho, we've got someone that comes straight back on a dinghy having spent, I think, less than 48 hours in France, because he claims, this Iranian chap, says that it's not safe in France. It's beggars belief.
From one fast to another, should we look at the national inquiry into grooming gangs and pressure now on Jess Phillips to resign as safeguarding minister. Do you think she'll go?
I think she should go. I don't think she'll go unless she's asked to go, frankly. I don't think she will see... The way in which she has conducted herself, I think, is demonstrating the political antenna that she lacks. I mean, this government's totally rudderless when it comes to politics anyway, it seems to me. But with Jess Phillips, when she gets up in the House of Commons and she just hasn't been able to strike the right tone, whatever pressure she feels she's under, whether or not she thinks she's working as hard as she possibly can, maybe she thinks she's going above and beyond, maybe she thinks she is the only person in the Commons that has championed safety for women and girls, for example, and whether she's been articulating the issue of grooming gangs, that might all be true. But when you've got members of the survivors and victims that have resigned and walked away from an inquiry, a committee that was set up specifically to get to the bottom of their claims and issues, to expose the truth, where for so long they were not believed. That's the whole point, you know. Or social services, local authorities, police, totally discredited these young girls. And so then to have a minister who feels she might be under attack or criticism because the inquiry wasn't set up in the first place. Labour didn't want to have a national inquiry. They had to be dragged kicking and screaming to kick one off in the first place. Whatever she feels, she has to show a bit of humility. She has to show a bit of leadership to say, I understand the concerns, but this is what we're doing. What she has done, I'm afraid, Jess Phillips, is what she always seems to do, is to get up and sort of shout about it and say that she's the victim here, that she's working incredibly hard, that she's under attack from all sides, and how terrible, what a terrible life she's having as a minister. Well, you know, read the room. It's not about you, dear. It's about the victims. And I think that's what needs to be said to Jess Phillips, which is why the Home Secretary's had to step in to issue the statement that she did to say under her watch there wouldn't be any watering down of the inquiry, but that obviously remains to be seen. But it's too late. You know, victims have walked away from this process. It has taken far... And people will ask themselves, why does it take so long in this country to get things going? You know, we're still talking about the COVID inquiry taking place, for example. Now, important work as that is, we don't seem to be able to do things quick enough, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's inquiries, all the rest of it. But on this particular issue, It is so important to get justice for those victims, having, as I said, not been believed for so long. And we've now got a minister, safeguarding minister, who I think has clearly lost support and confidence of the very people that she claims she wants to help. And that's why I think the best thing for her to do is probably step down and resign, because this inquiry will never get going and certainly won't have the support of those victims while she's still in charge.
Quick one about Nigel Farage and PMQs. He's not happy.
He's not. And he took a stand by sitting in the public gallery instead of being on the green benches of the House of Commons, because he feels he's not getting the time allocated by the Speaker to ask questions in PMQs. It's a funny old process where, names are drawn out the hat and everybody ballots for questions in order to ask a question at PMQs. I don't know whether he's put his name in the hat for that ballot or not, but he feels, I think, as leader of Reform, who are running ahead in the polls, that there should be a bit more opportunity for him to be able to...
So a guaranteed question.
A guaranteed question. And I do sympathise in a way, because if Labour are now, as they are so blatantly attacking Reform and going after Reform, we've heard about, in the budget, they're going to be attacking Nigel Farage for being the cause of the woes of the economic situation that we're in because of Brexit. That's their strategy. I don't believe that. But if they're going to go after Reform and continually attacking him in the Commons, if he's not able to respond at PMQs, and that's the one time that the Prime Minister basically gets up in the House of Commons anyway, unless he's dragged to make a statement on, I don't know, Chinese Russia spies, another issue, another intro problem there for number 10. Good morning, especially if you're listening. I'm sure they are.
Sure they are.
Then, of course, Nigel, I think, will feel as though he's not getting the rough side of the,
It's difficult, though, isn't it? Because it's all based on how many people you actually have in the House.
Exactly.
And not how you're doing in the polls.
Exactly.
So I get it on both sides, but it's clearly very frustrated. All right, Charlie, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.